910 hours for 1 hour for 6.
All right. Good afternoon. This is Jeff Wendorf, Superintendent at North Canton City Schools. Dave Pilati is here as well, representing the district. And we are here for the 2021-22 school calendar community meeting for community input. We're required to have a public hearing 30 days in advance of board adoption. That's why we're outside of our normal school board meeting piece. Several years, this falls, our November meeting falls outside of 30 days to the December meeting when we normally adopt the calendar. So that's why we're doing it separate this year. And we have done it in this type setting previously too, as a separate hearing, disassociated from a regular school board meeting. So at any rate, we're here for public input on the 21-22 school calendar meeting, school calendar. And typically we share the parameters a little bit of what's required by law, by our contract with our staff, and then take any community input. Dave, if you want to go ahead and
by law, we have to, for kindergarten through 6th graders, there has to be 910 hours of instruction in a school year. And for 7th through 12th graders, there has to be 1,001 hours of instruction in a school year. So really, a school district can put together a calendar as long as the number of days meets or exceeds that number of hours, then they're good. And our calendar always has a cushion, has more than those number of hours in it in case we have calamity days, snow days, and that type of thing. And then as Jeff mentioned, we have a contract with our staff where they have to work 185 work days throughout the year. So our student calendar usually is anywhere from about, this year it was 173 student days. Last year it was 175. It's usually a number in between those. We reduced it by 2 this year to give our staff more days at the beginning of the year because of COVID to do planning for instruction, because we have obviously some protocols to implement. But even at 173 days, we far exceeded the number of minimum hours. So that's really what we have to operate within when we set up the school calendar.
Yeah, so last several years, our calendar has been very similar. We're looking at the 2021-22 calendar to be very similar to somewhere a mid-August start date for staff, somewhere around the 19th or so for students. And then typically the thing that most people are concerned about, 2 weeks at Christmas and spring break. And we're on track to do those. We have been doing some of the transition days for students new to a building. So 3rd grade, 6th grade, 9th grade, primarily that we meet for a day and they get in the building, get acclimated, and then we bring the rest of that building in the following day. And we're planning on doing that as well. So,
and actually, we've never done it for 3rd grade.
Right.
We're most likely going to do that probably next year for 3rd grade.
Yeah, we'll expand it. So very similar calendar to this current year and to last year's. We do, to take you through the procedure a little bit, somebody in the county, there's 22 districts in the county, school districts. We share a set of calendar options. We try to be similar as best we can, but North Canton, we really focus on our career compact because we share a couple hundred kids with Plain Local, Lake Local, and Jackson Local. We all 4 are in a career compact, if you will. So our kids are going back and forth to cosmetology, to biomedical engineering, and all the things that we host, the things that other districts host. So we share kids. So that's why we try to be on a similar calendar. There's always a few days here and there, but we try to get the big breaks aligned and primarily start and stop. Generally, we're typically done by June 1st with a spring break that's centered more around our testing windows than it is Easter. Easter's pretty late, and we get a little bit worried about having kids out during those spring testing periods. So that's a piece that we pay attention to. And it depends on the holidays, Christmas and New Year's on the 2 weeks, but it works out pretty well right now, the way the calendar last year or this year and next year work, that it's pretty easy to take the 2 weeks to make it solid. So as far as Thanksgiving, we've typically been doing a Wednesday and Monday for Thanksgiving to give a little bit of a break, but it's all centered around hours of instruction, contract with the certified staff, and used to be calamity days, or a certain minimum number of days per year for students, but now that's on hours, and we well exceed the minimum requirements from the state. We could have quite a few calamity days, if you will, before we would have to be required by the state to make up any form of instruction. And quite truthfully, now Dave mentioned this, is since we have remote plans in play, that even alleviates that need even more. So what questions do you have? Concerns or input or anything? Okay. I see. Okay. Yeah. And there's been many studies on start time and, flipping the whole, high school later and so on and some of that, but there's been a lot of studies, a lot of chatter, but not much movement throughout even the state or other places that I'm aware of that have really actually done that.
Did you mean later in the morning? Later in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some research that shows it would be better for middle school and high schoolers, but the challenge is all of the activities that middle schoolers and high schoolers are involved in. The reality is many high school students work a job out of necessity sometimes, and it really impacts that and the extracurriculars. So we look at it, but because of everything else that it impacts. Right.
All right. Excellent. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate your interest, and we'll close the meeting. Thanks.
And our goal is, if everything goes as scheduled, we will approve the new calendar on our December board meeting. So after that, then we can send all the families and post it on our website so everybody knows.